There's a lot of confusion with guitar players of what modes are and how they work, but I wanted to make a simplified approach to at least the Dorian sound. I'm not going to go into any crazy theory stuff. I'm going to keep it simple and practical and useful so you can start using Dorian right now and kind of understand how it sounds and how it's used. So let's hear how it sounds. Awesome. So I'm going to link that backing track down below in the description. It's the backing track that I used for years practicing how to play in Dorian. It's kind of the iconic Dorian progression, and we're going to get into that a little bit here in a second. So first things to know, we're going to be in A minor bass today, A Dorian. I'm in standard tuning, everything like that. Really how I look at Dorian, I like looking at it from the pentatonic scale. When we look at it from the pentatonic scale, and we ask ourselves, what's the easiest way to take the pentatonic scale and then make it sound Dorian? What's that one magical note? And there's actually is one magical note. That's all you need. But before we get into that, I just released my first single off of my debut album, Castaway. Go check that out. I have it in the description below, and also I put it in the pinned comments. So please go give that a listen and let me know what you think about the song. You know, actually, let's give it a quick listen right now.
Why is it I'm full of hopes and dreams? My mind plays tricks on me.
Awesome. All right, let's get into the video. So if we're taking A minor pentatonic, so if we take our typical A minor pentatonic, 5 notes, all we have to do is add 1, and it's going to give us that Dorian sound. That 1 note happens to be the F sharp note, in this case for A Dorian. We can find that many places on the fretboard. The one right now being the 7th fret of the B string. So all we have to do to create the sound of Dorian is take the pentatonic, any pentatonic lick you know, and throw in that F sharp that we found on the B string, 7th fret. Right? You know, we can slide to that note, kind of get a jazzy feel going. Or maybe Carlos Santana vibe. I even heard in the Hotel California solo, I forget who played it, but he did a bend. It was really cool. The solo's on a different key, but he did this little lick, which in this case has been an F to F sharp, but it's kind of another way to use the Dorian sound. Or you could just use it in a run. Right, so there's some easy ways right there to go ahead and get the Dorian sound. But what are the contexts that we might find this sound? The main context, which is using that backing track below, is when we have an A minor chord to a D major chord or a D7 chord. Sorry, my guitar's a little out of tune. Let me tune real quick. Yeah, so we usually find it when, I might describe it as the 1 chord, a minor 1 chord, and then a major 4 chord. But in this case, an A minor, it's gonna be A minor, and then a D major or a D7. Why I make that distinction? If it's just naturally A minor, we're not gonna have a D major, we'll have a D minor chord, because we know how triads are laid out. Triads are laid out in thirds. So the A minor, we're gonna have A, C, E. So there's a bunch of A notes, C notes, and E notes. Now, if we're diatonic to A minor, we're gonna have a D minor chord, which is D, F, A, right? So I have a D note, F note, A note. And so that would have us playing the 6th fret here on the B string. But that's not Dorian. What Dorian does, it makes that a D major, which changes that F to D, F sharp. So we're gonna have D, F sharp, A. Right? So we'll see it in that progression. We also see it kind of in a blues when, 12-bar blues, when you have, say like this. goes to that 4 chord, that D7, another great opportunity to play A Dorian over that. We can kind of, you'll get that kind of switching between A Mixolydian or A major and then kind of A Dorian, which is, I don't want to get too deep into the theory. I'm just going to keep it practical. So yeah, over, in a blues or anytime you see a minor 1 to a major 4 chord. If you're interested in learning how to improve on guitar, whether it's technique, legato, learning licks from your favorite artists, go check out my Patreon. The link is in the description below. Over there are literally hundreds of lessons with tab breaking down everything as specifically as possible. Also, you get early access to things, whether it's music releases or YouTube videos, and obviously lessons. And also, I'm giving away a free 30-minute lesson every month. All you have to do is go sign up on Patreon, and I'll choose the winner at the beginning of each and every month. Thank you guys so much for the support. Let's get back to the video. In the key of A minor in this instance, the way to make the Dorian sound is, in those particular contexts, but say we're not even in that context, say it's just an A minor chord. We can still target that F sharp to create that sound. But what we have to do is we have to first learn all the 5 pentatonic positions, which if you haven't, I have a video going through all of those already. There's 5 positions, and all we do is we take those positions, take the licks we already know there, but we throw in the F sharp whenever we can. So in position 1, we'll get, like we talked about, that 7th fret B string, but we'll also get, if we slide down on the D string, D string's typically 7/5 when we play the pentatonic here, but we can go down on the 4th fret, it's that F sharp again. Right? So we usually get about 2 positions that are 2 notes per pentatonic position of the F sharp. But one thing to keep in mind, I don't know how well you know the fretboard and the notes on the fretboard. That's really important. It'll really help out. Because if you could just look down and see F sharp notes, you'd instantly be able to do this. So definitely work on getting the notes down. A couple things to keep in mind is the 12th fret and up is an exact replica of the nut to the 12th fret, right? Well, except we're losing a couple frets, at least on this particular guitar. So we don't really need to learn up here. If we learn this, master this, and then realize that it's the same thing up here, we really just got to learn down here. So another thing to think about is there's 1 of each note on every string up until the, open to 11th fret. There's 1 of each note of the, the 12 notes in music. We're just searching for the F sharp. That means there's 1 F sharp per string. That's all it is. There's 6 that we can learn. So on the E's, real quick, we have 2nd fret of the E string is an F sharp. We have the high E, which is the same exact thing. For our E strings, our F sharp's found right there. There's no more until we get past the 12th fret, which we're not worrying about right now. The next one, if we go to the A string, is going to be found on the 9th fret. That's our F sharp right there. The only one right there. Just memorize F sharp on the 9th fret, A string. Boom. That's the only one on that string. Go to the D string. I don't know if you heard it there. It's the same pitch. It's another way of playing it on guitar. That's the 4th fret D string that we just talked about. Go to the G string all the way up to the 11th fret. Is going to be F sharp. We talk about the B string. So boom, that's all the F sharps. If we can now start intertwining how we see the pentatonic shapes with that particular note. So we talked about position 1 here. If we go to position 2, which is this, we can get something along these lines. Go to position 3, which is this. We throw the F sharp in, we get. I want you guys to kind of take your time learning these. I'm just going to run through. You can slow this down or just take what I said about where the F sharps are located, and you can internalize it over time of practicing. So position 4 looks like this. And then we can throw the F sharps in. Just like that. Or we might also do it this way. Instead, we can go. might be the way I'd kind of lean towards personally. Then last shape, position 5. We get I'm trying to keep this practical, right to the point, not overly theoretical. I'll probably make another video in the future going in the extreme theory of how all this works. Most of us pick up the guitar and we start soloing in the pentatonic. So we need to, I don't know if I said this earlier, and my bad if I didn't. The Dorian is a minor mode, minor bass mode. That's why I leaned into the minor pentatonic. With other modes like Mixolydian, which is typically a major bass mode, I leaned to the major pentatonic, and then I asked myself the same question: what's one note I can add to get that Mixolydian sound based off the major pentatonic? Lydian is the same way. Lydian's a major mode, so I go to the major pentatonic, ask myself that question, I find that note, and so all I do is play major pentatonic plus that note sometimes, and I create the Lydian sound. But same thing with Dorian. We take minor pentatonic, we find out what note we have to add to make that particular sound. In this case, it's F sharp, and we just throw that in there. Nothing crazy. And then what we do, assuming we know all 5 pentatonic positions, is we go through and we learn where we can play them in each position. And then all I want you guys to do is take the licks that you know right now that are just pentatonic licks, and if you are in the area of that interval, which is F sharp in this case, throw it in there sometimes. And it will slowly kind of create that Dorian sound. But also definitely practice the backing track that I have linked below. It kind of transformed my Dorian playing, because it's like, I don't remember how long the backing track is, but it's like endless Dorian sound. So it really forces you in that box to explore what sounds good. So yeah, I hope you guys find this video beneficial and it really helped you understand Dorian and simplified it, but also modes in general. I'm gonna get more in depth in the future with them and talk about other modes as well. But I really like to make them as simple as possible, and I bring them down to the pentatonic. I'm like, is this a major mode? Okay, we'll go to major pentatonic. If it's a minor mode, I'll go to minor pentatonic. And then we go from there, we build from there. It is very important to learn the major scale on guitar, but even if you don't, there's no reason you can't make a modal sound. It's not that difficult if you go from the pentatonic. Things that will very much help you is learning all the notes on the fretboard and learning all the 5 pentatonic positions. That will make this a breeze, and so definitely be working on that as well. But you don't even have to be doing all that. Just take your pentatonic licks and throw in that F sharp that you've been working on. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you guys back next time.